Unit 11, Composition of Functions Test Review. Well, we've covered all the material we needed to for composition of functions, so let's review what we've talked about. We have three tables here. The first one is f values, the second one is g values, and the third one is h values. Well, looking at number 1a, when you see f open circle g of 3, that means f of g of 3. And to work this problem, we have to find out what g of 3 is. So we go to g and go to 3, and we get 1. So g of 3 is 1. So the answer to this question is what we get whenever we go to f of 1. Well, f of 1 is 4. Okay. For 1b, we're going to do, this one says h of f of 4. That means go to f, find out what 4 is. F of 4 is 2. So this is h of 2 will give us the answer. H of 2 is 3. And that's the answer to this one. And this is the same thing, but this time we're going to do, on number 3, we're going to do g of h of 2. So we've got to do the inside first, h of 2. So we go to the h table and go to 2, and the output is 3. So g of 3 will be our answer, and g of 3 is 1. And I called that one 2, and D, 2D, which could have been 2AB, I guess. We start with f of 1. F of 1 is 4, so that makes this 4. Well, now we look, we have g of 4 is the next part. G of 4 is 3. So this is h of 3. We have an h still, and h of 3 is 4 is our answer. And that's the answer to number 2D. Let's go to number 3. For the given functions f and g, find the indicated values. Well, this one says f of g of 3. So that means we're looking for f with g of 3 on the inside. So let's find out what g of 3 is. G of 3 means go to the g and plug in 3 right there where the x was. 3 times 3 minus 8. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 8 is 1. So g of 3 is 1. So f of 1 will be our answer. F of 1 means go to f and plug in a 1 for every x. So 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 7. 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 7. So 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 7. Negative 5 plus 7 is 7, same thing as 7 minus 5, which is 2. So the answer to number 3 is f of g of 3 is 2. Well, let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is g of f of 1. G with f of 1 on the inside. So let's find out what f of 1 is. F of 1 is 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 7. Well, I think we just did that. That's 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 7 is 2. So g of f of 1 is the same thing as finding g of 2. And g of 2 is 3 times 2 minus 8, which is 6 minus 8. 6 minus 8, which is, well, my pen's might leave me more, negative 2. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. And let's move on to number 5. Number 5 wants f of g of 3. So, I'm sorry, g of f of 3. G with f of 3 on the inside. So let's find out what f of 3 is. F of 3 is 3 minus 12 over 3. We had to make every x become a 3. 3 minus 12 is negative 9. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So g of f of 3 was negative 3. So g of f of 3 is the same thing as g of negative 3. Which means 2 times negative 3 plus 1 inside absolute value bars. Well, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. But negative 5 inside absolute value bars is just going to be positive 5. And number 6. Let me clear my space since I wrote all over that one. G of f of 2 means g with f of 2 on the inside. So let's go find f of 2. We've got to do that inside first when we can. F of 2 is the square root of 8 times 2 plus 1. which is square root of 16 plus 1, which is just the square root of 17. And that's all we can do without a calculator. So now I'm going to go to the g problem and plug in square root of 17 where the x was. So this g of square root of 17 is going to be 3 times square root of 17 squared. Well, hopefully you recall that a square root and a square are opposites of each other. They're inverses, so they cancel each other out. So that's just 3 times 17, and 3 times 17 is 51. So 51 is the answer to number 6. Number 7. So this time, we're not plugging anything in. We're not plugging any numbers in. We're just going to put g inside of f. So I want f with g on the inside. Well, f is 2x plus 11. But instead of x, we're going to put g of x. So sometimes I skip this step, but that would be 2 times whatever g is. G is 7x minus 8. And then plus 11. So now I've got to distribute. 2 times 7 is 14x. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And plus 11. And now I look for like terms. And I have a negative 16 and 11. The 14x has no other like term, so it just stays there. Negative 16 plus 11 is 11 minus 16, which is negative 5. And there's your answer to number 7. Number 8, since I borrowed the space, let's clear that off. G with f on the inside this time. So this is g with f inside it. So let's take the g problem, which is 7x minus 8. And inside it, we're going to put f. Well, I could put the letter f, or I can just go ahead and put f, which is 2x plus 11. So let's distribute, because there's a 7 outside. That's 7 times 2 is 14 with an x. And 7 times 11 is 77. We take away 8. We can only add like terms together, so it's 14x. 77 minus 8 is 69. So 14x plus 69. And number 9, part A. Does f with g on the inside, does it equal x? So let's see. I'm going to take f, and we're going to put g inside it, and we want to find out, does that give us x? So f is x minus 11. So x minus 100. But inside it, I'm going to put g, which is x plus 100. I replace this x, just becomes the whole g, which is x plus 100. Well, that's just x plus 100 minus 100, which is just x. So that one's a yes. On 9b, this time I'm going to take f. Well, let's see. It's f of g of x. So that's f, which is 10x plus 1. But instead of x, we put g, which is 10x minus 1. So let's distribute. And that is 10 times 10 is 100 with an x. 10 times 1 is 10. Well, that's 100x minus 9. There's nothing else I can do. That does not equal x. So no. Let's move on to number 10. Number 10 is very similar to one we've done before. The one before was a rock being thrown in the water, but they tell us an oil well off the Gulf Coast is leaking, with the leak spreading oil over the surface of the Gulf as a circle. At any time t in minutes after the beginning of the leak, the radius of the oil slick on the surface is r of t equals 5t. Find the area. Well, area of a circle, they told us, is pi r squared. And so that's area in terms of r will be pi times r squared. But we want to find r on the inside. Well, they told us r on the inside. So that's a of r of t means pi. And instead of an r, we put r of t, which is 5t. So 5t times 5t is 25t squared. So that is pi times 25t squared, which is, normally you put the number out front and then the pi, then the t squared. So 25 pi t squared. That'll work for any time. So that's number 10. Number 11. On this one, we've got two functions that were put together. They give us this value right here. Now on the assignment, it's usually easier because you have multiple choice. And on the test, you'll have multiple choice. But we want two functions where g is on the inside. So I want to figure out what function is on the inside and what's on the outside. When I look at this, here's an inside. I'm going to let's try that. If g is on the inside, if g is 8x plus 27. That leaves 5 and a power of 17 on the outside. So f, not h, f would be 5 and the power of 17. But what was raised to the power of 17? Well, it was an x that got replaced with, oh, that was an equal. If we replaced it, yeah, we'd be right back where we started. So this is the outer one, and that's the inner one. On number 12. On number 12, the domain of f of g. So I need to figure out what the domain is, but I'm going to put f of g together first. So g is going to go inside of f. So 8 over x minus 9, and inside here I have x minus 4. Well, that's 8 over x. Negative 4 and negative 9 is negative 13. So the domain restriction, the one thing you can never have in a fraction is 0 in the bottom. This can't be 0. So if I try to figure out what minus 13 equals 0, in case you don't remember, you can add 13 to both sides. That'd be positive 13 is the one thing you can't have. So our domain is everything except 13. So one way to say is x not equal to 13. But the main way we'll write it is interval notation, which means everything before 13 unioned with everything after 13. And you put a parentheses because a bracket would equal it, and we can't equal because if you could equal 0 on the bottom, we can't do that. So no bracket, just everything before and everything after 13. This means up to 13 and after 13, but not equal to 13. And that's the answer to number 12. Well, let's practice a few more that we've been doing before, so with tables and graphs. So g of f of 2. Well, f of 2 means go to the one that says f, which is this one, and go to 2, and we get 1. So that's 1. So g of 1 will be our answer. So we go to 1. G of 1 is 3. You see it 2 different places. And 13b is the other way around. This time we're going to go to g of 1, which g of 1 is 3. So f of 3 is our answer. F of 3 is 2. And number 14, here's a hint. When you come across a linear function and another linear function, if we put this linear function inside f like we've been doing, you're going to get a linear function. So f of g of x is going to be 7x, with x gets replaced with g, which is 2x plus 6 minus 19. If you distribute, you get 14x plus 7 times 6 is 42 minus 19. And I'm doing more work than I really need to because I'm going to show you why. 14x. 42 minus 19 is 23? Yes. Also positive 23. Well, that is in the form of mx plus b. That's a line. And a line, think of what a line looks like. It goes on forever, goes left forever, right forever, and everything in between. The domain is always going to be all real numbers. So it does not matter what line this is and what line this is. If you take a line and put it inside of a line, you're always going to end up with another line, and the answer will always be all real numbers. So if you realize that, you've just found the answer to one of the questions on the test. It's going to be all real numbers. And last one, we want f of g at 2. So that's the same thing as saying f of g of 2. Well, g of 2, I got to do that first. G of 2, well, this one is f in blue on mine. So down here, g of 2 is negative 4. So that's f of negative 4. So I go to negative 4 and go up to f, and that y value is 7. And that's f of negative 4. And that is everything you need to be able to pass this test. Good luck.